The Fishing Paper Show is proudly brought to you by United Fisheries, bringing fresh fish to your plate.
Following on from last week where we looked at range and shift, we can also increase our pixels per metre by using zoom modes. Most sounders have zoom modes. Basic ones just zoom the whole screen in on an area and you then move the cursor up or down to look at the area you want to zoom into. Some of the higher grade units though have modes called bottom lock and bottom zoom, and these are fantastic tools for looking for those bottom feeders. When using either of these zoom modes, instead of using the whole screen for our zoom function, it splits the screen into two, with one side showing our normal screen and the other side showing the zoom. Both of these zooms target an area just above the bottom, and this is predetermined by the user to be anywhere between 3 and 10 metres. Bottom zoom will zoom in on this predetermined area, but will continue to show you the bottom contours. This can be good if you're looking for peaks, but it pays to be aware that it may not be the seabed rising. It may be you going up and down with the rise and fall of the waves. For this reason, I prefer bottom lock for looking for those bottom feeders. Again, we focus on an area just above the seabed, but instead of following the contours, the bottom is just shown as a flat line. This then makes it easy to pick out the bottom feeders like cod and groper, as you're zoomed in tight on that area and can easily pick out the weaker fish echoes just above the seabed. Next week we'll start learning how to interpret what we see on our screen.
Well, that sounds a little bit uncomfortable having your bottom locked, but keeping on that theme, it's now time to show us your tackle. West Haven Inlet near Golden Bay is an idyllic setting that draws its lifeblood from the petulant waters of the west coast. On a calm spring morning, I joined Motueka river rats, Greg Bucket from Oh to Be Healthy, and fishing legend Hattie for a fishing adventure that was to prove rewarding and memorable. Within minutes of negotiating the inlet's treacherous bar, Hattie had us into a carwai workup, and Bucky wasted no time in securing some fresh bait.
Mate, it's got to grow during the day.
Once the fish showed up on the sounder, my rod tip was quick to dip, and the Kahurangi shoals delivered the first surprise of the day, and a very tasty one at that. So you never know what you're going to catch off the west coast. Well, there you go, how's that for a surprise? My very first frost fish out here on the west coast. What an amazing creature that is, taken on a black magic seafood seducer flasher ring. Bucky was not one to sulk for too long and put his competitive nature to good use. A serious nod of the rod heralded the arrival of a rather scrappy fighter. There you go, the action's just starting to fire here on the shoals. Beautiful trevally taken here on the west coast. Now a lot of people consign these to the bait bin, but if you look after them, they're tremendous eating. Bucky turned his hand to a spot of jigging and was rewarded with a solid hookup.
Oh, nice. That's how we do it. That's a blue cod.
Not to be outdone, Hattie and I started fishing in tandem.
More of a nod to it. You got hang around me with 2 wonky dogs, huh? Well done, Hattie. We finally found them. Yeah, beautiful turkeys. That's what we came here for. Finally on the bite, I would hazard to suggest. It was to be a day of firsts, and Bucky led the way with a nice fat trumpeter. Ever.
Don't get many of them here.
All right, that's the first trumpeter.
which was followed by one for me, a species that had eluded me for years.
You beauty. Beautiful West Coast trumpeter. And am I happy? You betcha.
As the day played its final hand, Bucky put a nuggety trevally in the bin.
Well, we've had a pretty good day out here on the Kahurangi Shoals. I wouldn't say that the fishing's been absolutely spectacular, but we've picked away. And if it was a food gathering exercise that we came for, then I think you'd have to be pretty happy with the catch. We've got everything from trevally, terraki, and trumpeter, and of course the way to finish the day is with a classic West Coast blue cod, and I think I'm pretty happy with that one. I tell you what, I was really excited with that trumpeter. It was an all-time first for me. When we come back after the break, we stay on the coast and I teach you how to cook the perfect whitebait fritter, and of course we have doing it better with Hamels. More of that in a moment.